I think personally, I think they've separated their professional lives, but I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of in the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Hang on a minute. Every single thing he has written about Meghan and Harry has been a work of fiction.
Harry is just, I think, out of his depth. He has no idea anymore what he's being played at. He has no idea the game that he's actually engaged in. And it can only end in tragedy.
The royal family would not be coming to Harry's rescue. They would not be funding a divorce to any extent. And they, at this point, wouldn't really care what Meghan tried to say or do, because Meghan has so discredited herself as a liar, a cheat, and a fool.
Kickstart on Harry and Meghan's relationship.
Is Meghan actually getting ready to walk away from Harry for real? That question is getting louder by the day, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. Tom Bower has been watching this marriage closely, paying attention to small details that most people completely overlook. And now what he's putting together for his next revenge chapter could flip the whole story upside down.
Does she envisage a divorce between Harry and Meghan Markle? If so, how does she think it will play out, and how much is she likely to get? I hear she wants ridiculous amounts, which is ridiculous for the son of a spare. Also, how does she see the children's, and she's put the children's in inverted commas, time being split between them, and how does she think their lives will be if they stay with Meghan Markle? Will Harry want them to know about their royal ancestry?
This isn't just random talk or internet noise. It's starting to feel bigger, more serious, and a lot more intense than people expected. Tom Bower confirmed to the Daily Mirror that he already has a strong collection of new material lined up for a second book, and he made it clear this isn't recycled info. He's been digging deeper, speaking to more sources, and connecting dots that weren't obvious before. When Revenge first came out, a lot of people pushed back hard. Some said it went too far, others questioned how accurate it really was. But now Bower is saying that over time, more people have started to see patterns that match what he revealed back then.
And so he became hypersensitive and blamed the media for the crashes of his relationships, never thinking that they could have something to do with himself. So he's a very complicated, depressed, unintelligent man who is seeking a role and has got really nobody on whom he could rely, which is in the end where Meghan stepped in. I mean, a needy man met a woman who could help him with his needs.
That shift in opinion is making his upcoming claims even more attention-grabbing. He described Harry and Meghan's situation as unprecedented. That word stands out, especially coming from someone who has spent decades investigating powerful figures and high-profile stories. He's not known for exaggeration, so when he uses language like that, it signals something serious.
Tom Bower, he is a very thorough journalist. He has worked on a huge number of bombshell books about a huge number of major personalities. He does his research. He's been at the Invictus Games. He's been following Harry and Meghan around. I know for the first book, Revenge, and I'm very happy to say this, I spoke to him in some detail about what I knew, and I think that the book provided a lot of insight, actually, into the truth about Meghan Markle. Of course, we have been reporting the truth of these things for a long time too, but Harry and Meghan are going to be petrified about the idea of Tom Bower snooping back into their married life, right?
Bower also said the battle for survival and the push for revenge is intensifying week by week. That paints a picture of rising tension behind closed doors, with pressure building instead of fading. Whatever's really happening, it doesn't look calm. It looks like things are slowly reaching a breaking point. Things are not calming down, not even close. If anything, the situation is getting more layered, more tense, and a lot harder to ignore.
Look back at it, Dan, because you've got to look at what my book revealed about her. She's a scheming woman.
Revenge.
She's always been plotting. She's always been looking how she can use people for her own benefit.
Well, that's why I wonder if she wants Harry to be weak, you see.
But it's not that she wants him to be weak. She probably no longer sees his purpose. She doesn't see what he can still do for her, because he's done everything. He's given her the title, he's given her fame. what is the next step? And the terrible tragedy which is now unfolding is she dumped her father, she dumped her first husband, she dumped the boyfriend in Canada, she dumps people who aren't in any use to her. Is she going to dump Harry now? Is what we're seeing now the slow motion of Meghan Part 9 as she attempts the next step in her extraordinary career?
With each passing moment, the details keep stacking up, and nothing about this feels simple anymore. To really understand why this is starting to hit harder, you need to look at how Tom Bower actually works behind the scenes, because that changes everything. Before he became known for journalism, he trained as a barrister. That background matters more than people think. It means he doesn't just write based on rumors or surface-level chatter. He builds arguments, checks facts, and lines everything up carefully like a legal case. Every claim, every sentence goes through review, sourcing, and verification. This is slow, deliberate work, not something thrown together for attention. And he doesn't just rely on secondhand information either. He showed up in person at the Invictus Games while researching his first book, putting himself right in the middle of the environment he was writing about. That kind of approach says a lot about how seriously he takes this. When Sussex supporters confronted him during that time, he didn't get shaken or back away.
Tom Bower, the legendary royal author, is sharpening his quill for a new edition of his book set to reveal huge secrets inside Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's marriage.
He stayed locked in and kept going without hesitation. That kind of persistence stands out. So when Tom Bower says he has new material now, it doesn't land like background noise or casual talk. It feels like something much more structured, something built carefully over time, piece by piece, with intention behind it. That's what makes people pay attention. Now here's where things take a sharp turn. At the exact same time, Bower steps forward saying there's even more to uncover. Omid Scobie, who for years stood as Meghan's most loyal media voice, suddenly pulls back completely. That shift alone raises eyebrows.
Just at the time that odd little bloke, Omid Scobie, who for many years has been the #1 propagandist for the Sussexes, has announced that he's quitting writing Meghan hagiographies altogether. No more is he going to stand up for this woman. Instead, he's writing a fictitious.
He's not just stepping away quietly. He's changing direction and moving into fiction writing instead. That timing feels hard to ignore. One person moving closer to the story while another exits. It creates a contrast that speaks loudly without needing extra explanation. It makes people question which side of the narrative is gaining momentum right now.
In the book, Harry must be nuts. This is one of the text messages his friends were sending around to each other after Meghan's first introduction to Harry's friends in 2017 during a shooting weekend at Sandringham.
And right at the center of all this, Bower has been pointing to a pattern he believes shows up again and again in Meghan's relationships. It's something he's tracked over time, and once it's pointed out, it becomes difficult not to notice the same cycle playing out. Take her father as one of the clearest examples. Completely cut off, no ongoing contact at all. No matter how complicated or messy that history may be, the end result is still the same. He is no longer part of her day-to-day life. That detail keeps getting brought up because people see it as part of a bigger picture, not just a single situation.
They have both been wounded. And what's fascinating about them is they don't stop fighting back. And the fight back is just as important as their survival. This battle for survival and the fight for revenge is increasing by the week. A lot of people were skeptical of the first book and couldn't quite believe it. Now more are converted to what I discovered then, and they'll be fascinated by what I've discovered now. So much has changed over the last 3 years, and so many new things have come out about them.
Her first husband, Trevor Engelson, gone right after she landed. Suits and her career started picking up speed. That timing caught attention, and people didn't forget it. Then there was the Canadian boyfriend she was with just before Harry came into the picture, and that relationship ended just as a bigger opportunity appeared. Those moments keep getting brought up because of how closely they line up with major life changes.
But I do think that when you're mocked so publicly as they've been, their value begins to nosedive pretty quickly. And I don't think they're finding any more sources of income.
Then there's Omid Scobie. For years, he was seen as her voice in the media, almost like an unofficial spokesperson. He wrote 2 books that many believed reflected her perspective closely, shaping how the public understood her side of the story. But once things shifted, once Endgame didn't land well and the Sussex brand started facing pressure, that connection faded. Now he's stepping away completely and focusing on fiction instead. That shift didn't go unnoticed, and it doesn't stop there.
Is honestly reminding me of Michael Jackson these days. He really is very, very odd. Very odd what he's trying to do with his looks, given that he claims to be proudly mixed race, and yet he seems to be trying to adjust his appearance to appear more like a white man. Very odd man. And I've got some concerns actually about what's going on with him, Angela, up there, because, you know, he lies about his age and all of that type of stuff. So you can't believe a word that this guy says. But rather than write a new chapter in his Harry and Meghan trilogy, sort of like, oh, didn't they triumph in Hollywood? Didn't this all work out? He's walked away, Angela, because he knows that's just not a palatable story. His last book was a disastrous flop, Endgame, barely sold any copies. Yeah, he got media attention.
Staff members, advisors, and people who worked closely with her, both inside the royal circle and outside of it, have also been part of this conversation. There have been repeated stories about people leaving, roles ending, and once strong connections going quiet. These accounts don't come from just one place. They come from multiple directions, which is why they keep resurfacing. Tom Bower laid this pattern out in revenge. His argument was clear and direct. He suggested that Meghan tends to move toward what benefits her at the time and step away from what no longer fits.
Hasn't got the status she craves. She hasn't got the pulling power. He's stuck in California, clinging onto his royal status as she is. Harry's thinking is of reconciliation. That's just totally unrealistic. There is zero chance of reconciliation because there is irreconcilable anger on the part of William and Kate.
And when someone has played their role or served a purpose, the relationship comes to an end. That idea has been debated heavily, but it keeps coming back into focus. So now the question getting louder is this: has Harry reached that same point? That's what many people are starting to ask. And it's exactly what Tom Bower's upcoming book is expected to explore in more detail. Because when people look at recent events, they see signs that are hard to brush off. Meghan has been noticeably absent during some of Harry's most public and difficult moments. The court appearances, the intense media coverage, the situations that didn't reflect well on him. She hasn't been visibly by his side, she hasn't stepped in publicly to steady the narrative, hasn't taken a visible role in managing the fallout, and hasn't shown strong public backing during those times. Instead, Harry has been left to face those situations on his own, and that detail is raising more questions the longer it continues.
I don't know, because it's so heartless to treat this fellow like this, and I can't see how she could really treat him so appallingly, the father of her children. But her absence from everything is by now seeming pretty suspicious. Her silence since Christmas, really, before Christmas, is really pretty odd. And there's got to be a reason. My suspicion is that she's plotting. I've always said she's going to do something big. We've been saying that now for weeks. So we've still...
And for people who have been watching this pattern over time, that absence doesn't feel random at all. It feels familiar. It lines up with what they believe they've seen before in other relationships connected to her life. And that's why it's getting so much attention now. Tom Bower has spoken very directly about what he believes is a deeper issue sitting right at the center of this marriage, and his explanation isn't complicated. It's actually very blunt. He claims there's a fundamental disconnect in goals, and that disconnect keeps getting wider. According to Tom Bower, Meghan's main goal is to become a billionaire-level celebrity. That's the target he says she's aiming for, and he suggests that every move, every decision, and every connection is viewed through that lens. It's all about building status, influence, and long-term financial power. And then there's Harry, who Bauer argues is on a completely different wavelength. He's never had to think about money in a serious or urgent way, never had to chase opportunities just to stay secure, and never faced the kind of pressure that comes with financial uncertainty. His upbringing kept him far removed from that kind of reality.
He added, "They have a crisis. Meghan wants to be a billionaire celebrity, and Harry doesn't understand that world other than understanding that Meghan wants to be famous. He's spent his whole life never having a penny in his pocket. He's never regularly traveled on the tube, never had to worry about having a car or a job. So he doesn't understand where she's coming from, which is that she worked phenomenally hard, struggled hard, and was constantly humiliated and wants the security of finance and status."
Meghan's experience, on the other hand, is described as the total opposite. She spent years working, pushing forward, and trying to build something for herself while feeling overlooked at times. According to Bauer's perspective, that shaped a strong drive in her, a focus on security, recognition, and reaching the highest level possible. Bauer says that drive is intense, and it's something Harry simply can't fully relate to because he's never had to develop that same mindset. That difference alone creates tension that doesn't just disappear. So what you end up with is two people under the same roof, but pulling in completely different directions. Meghan focused on building a massive celebrity empire and reaching extreme financial success. And Harry seemingly focused somewhere else entirely. Because here's the detail that really stands out. Reports suggest Harry is still thinking about reconciliation with his family. That's where his attention is going, which paints a picture of two very different priorities moving side by side, but not necessarily together. He wants things fixed. He wants some version of the past to still be possible, something familiar, something that feels like what he lost. But Tom Bauer doesn't soften this at all. He's extremely direct about it. He says there is zero chance of reconciliation.
Hasn't really appeared in person and talked since the whole year. I mean, that is what's extraordinary. It's silent Meghan now, having set him up. But I took from those pictures of him in San Diego this week, here's a man who, when he was in London, was really angry. And I think his court appearance, as disastrous as it was, he doesn't realise how bad it was. There was a cathartic moment.
According to Bauer, the anger from William and Kate hasn't faded, hasn't cooled off, and isn't going anywhere anytime soon. It's not the kind of situation where time quietly heals things in the background. He describes it as completely irreconcilable, meaning there's no middle ground left to return to. That puts Harry in a difficult position, holding on to the idea of something that, according to this view, doesn't exist anymore. At the same time, Meghan is described as chasing something entirely different, something Harry isn't in a position to provide.
The guy actually posted on X saying it was actually 7, but who's counting? And I thought, you are so crass, you are so tacky, you're just like Meghan Markle. Nothing is about the truth. Nothing is about doing good work. Nothing is about credibility. It's all about the moolah.
That gap keeps getting wider. They're not aligned, not moving toward the same goal, and not even thinking along the same timeline. It's like they're in completely different chapters of the same story, and neither one is slowing down. While all of this is playing out behind closed doors, the public side of things hasn't helped calm anything down either. In fact, it's added more pressure. Their business ventures have struggled to land the way people expected, and it's been very visible to everyone watching. Take the candle situation, for example. It became one of the most talked about moments online. High-priced candles, around $60, showing up without wicks, meaning they couldn't even be used the way they were intended. That detail spread fast across social media and turned into a major talking point almost instantly.
In just one moment, she's made a whole load of fascinating new claims, highly respected royal author too.
And Meghan is so determined. You know, she's going back 5 years now, and she wants to get her own back. And it's going to be very difficult for her, but she's going to fight and fight and fight. And Harry is doing that as well. But he's made so many errors that I don't think he'll stand a chance.
Then came the jam launch, which didn't exactly win people over either. The reaction leaned mixed to negative, with a lot of people questioning the direction and execution. And it doesn't stop there. Projects get announced with big energy, a lot of headlines, and then slowly fade out without strong follow-through. The podcast ended, other ideas stalled, and a pattern started to form.
Sources told People magazine that Prince Harry is getting frustrated with people comparing him to his uncle Andrew. People magazine, by the way, this is Harry and Meghan's favorite outlet. I'm sure you're familiar with that because I remind you every time we have a People magazine story.
And this isn't just coming from critics on the outside. Tina Brown, a highly respected media figure who actually supported Meghan in the early days, spoke very openly in a recent interview. She said Meghan's business approach comes across as panicked, constantly jumping from one idea to the next before anything has time to grow properly. That kind of observation carries weight, especially coming from someone who wasn't always critical. Tina Brown didn't hold back with her point. She said Meghan seems to want the level of success and influence of someone like Beyoncé or Michelle Obama instantly, without the long stretch of steady work and consistency those figures put in over many years. That comparison hit hard because it highlights the gap between fast results and long-term building. You can't skip the process and still expect the same outcome, and that's exactly what she was getting at. What makes this even more interesting is how closely that lines up with what Tom Bower pointed out years ago. This isn't a new observation suddenly appearing out of nowhere. In Revenge, he wrote that Meghan tends to resist advice. Not necessarily because the advice is wrong, but because she prefers to move in her own direction no matter what.
I think it's going to be explosive because Meghan Markle can't control this narrative. Tom Bower is incredibly well respected. And at the end of the day, we want the truth, and we can't get the truth from the Royal Rota. We can't get the truth from Meghan Markle or Prince Harry. They are pathological liars. They cherry pick what they want to believe or what they want us to believe.
That idea is now being echoed again, and from a completely different voice, Tina Brown backed that up in her own way. She said people who tried to guide or advise Meghan often walked away feeling like it didn't matter because their input wasn't going to change anything. That kind of feedback, especially when it comes from experienced professionals, raises serious questions about how decisions are being made behind the scenes. And here's the part Tom Bower added that really stands out. He claims Harry has effectively become her main advisor, while at the same time, Harry himself mostly listens only to her. That creates a closed loop, where both of them are relying heavily on each other, but not taking in much from outside perspectives. So what you end up with is a tight bubble.
Let me take you through what Tom Bower has revealed. He's told the Daily Mirror, "I've got a lot of new material already, and I think the whole world wants new insights. It's an amazing story. It's an eye-wateringly unique story because it's unprecedented. This is such a famous couple who are fighting for themselves all the time. They are relentless and restless, and that's what makes it so interesting."
Two people making big decisions, but not really letting outside voices shape those decisions. And the results of that approach aren't hidden. They're playing out publicly, where everyone can see what's working and what's not. There's also a bigger question starting to form around this. If the doors that once opened easily because of Harry's name and royal status begin to close, and there are already signs that this might be happening, what does everything look like after that? What happens to the bigger plan, the brand, the long-term vision?
Guys, you guys, there's no wick. Wait, producer Kylie, there's no wick, right? Am I crazy? Where's the thing that I light? This has to be a joke. No, I'm not even kidding. I'm not kidding. You guys, this isn't a stunt. There's literally nothing to light in here. No, it's not pasted down. My producer's in my ear. Is it pasted down? No, it's not pasted down. Zoom in. There's literally nothing. There's nothing to light on the candle. This is like Meghan Markle's career. Failure to launch. Oh my God. Wait, I literally, this is not a joke. I ordered Meghan Markle's candle. There's nothing to light. I literally want a refund. Meghan Markle, send me a freaking refund. So I paid, how much did I pay for this? $64.
That's the direction Tom Bower appears to be building toward with his second book, now shifting focus back to Omid Scobie, because this part really stands on its own. For years, he was one of the most visible and consistent media voices supporting Harry and Meghan. He co-wrote Finding Freedom, regularly defended them in interviews, and helped shape their public narrative in a major way. He seemed closely connected to their circle, almost like a direct line to their side of the story.
But it's interesting, isn't it, when you think Tom Bower's writing this new book, Scobie is not even trying to write a new book about Harry and Meghan because he knows it's just so bad.
Yes, I think that he is also got quite a lot of feeling of revenge because he was quite close to Meghan, wasn't he, for quite a long time? And they were near and he would go and see her a lot and talk about it. And he was her voice.
Then came Endgame. It generated a lot of attention, but not all of it was positive, and in the end, it didn't perform strongly in terms of sales. And now, instead of continuing with another book that builds them up or shows a new chapter of progress, he's stepping away from that entire space. That shift is hard to ignore, especially given how strongly he was once aligned with them. He's just not doing it anymore. No more books defending them, no more stepping in to shape their image, nothing. Instead, he's moved on completely and is now writing fiction, a made-up story centered around the royal world. That alone is a major shift, but what happened next made people look twice.
Didn't sell anything, didn't sell anywhere near as much as one of your books, for example. And now he's given up on writing about the truth. He's actually going to be writing a fictitious tale of a handsome prince within the royal family. And how cringe is this, Angela? When the Daily Mail wrote a puff piece about this, talking about how he'd signed a 6-figure deal for the
When the Daily Mail reported that his new deal was worth 6 figures, Scobie jumped onto social media to correct it. Not to downplay it, but to upgrade it, saying it was actually 7 figures. That's a bold move, and honestly, a bit unexpected to announce so directly. It got attention, but it also raised eyebrows about why that detail mattered enough to highlight so publicly. But the real focus isn't just the number, it's what this moment represents. Because when you zoom out, it connects right back to the pattern that's been discussed again and again. Scobie isn't just stepping away from covering Harry and Meghan in a professional sense. According to multiple reports, his relationship with Meghan has cooled off significantly behind the scenes as well. That's a big change considering how closely he was once linked to her public narrative. And this is where it starts to sound familiar. Someone plays a role, becomes important for a period of time, stays closely connected, and then suddenly that connection fades out. The pattern people have been pointing to doesn't feel so abstract when moments like this keep lining up. At the exact same time Scobie is stepping back, Tom Bower is stepping forward with even more claims and more material. That contrast couldn't be clearer if it tried. One voice fading out while another ramps up creates a strong signal about which direction this story might be heading next. Now shifting to the latest controversy, because this one really stirred reactions. Harry and Meghan's trip to Jordan caught serious attention, and not in a quiet way. They traveled to the Middle East during a period when tensions in the region were rising, something that was widely reported and understood at the time. The reaction came quickly, and it wasn't mild. People immediately connected it to something Harry has been very vocal about for years.
And Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were probably going to get their best news cycle in years because we know deep down they want to bring down the British royal family. Instead, in the midst of the biggest royal crisis in a century, these two grifters and fake have decided this is the moment to embark on a new fake royal tour, this time of the Middle East, where she's literally trying to claim she's the queen of the desert in Jordan.
Security. He has spent a long time in legal battles, putting in significant effort and resources, arguing that he cannot safely return to the United Kingdom without government-funded protection, that claim has been a central part of his public position. So when he and Meghan traveled to Jordan during a tense period, and did so without that same level of visible concern, it raised a lot of questions. The contrast stood out in a big way. People started asking how those two situations could exist side by side, and that's where the controversy really took off.
Yes, absolutely. There's a brilliant announcement by Tom about what he's going to say and what he's going to reveal. I mean, he's a brilliant writer, but he's also a brilliant advertising himself and, making you to want it and get it sorted before it's even anybody else can see it because it's not quite ready. I mean, he's really brilliant at that. I am very interested in all these things that he's going to show us, but also I want to know, really.
The inconsistency was impossible to ignore, and people online and in the media made sure their voices were heard. The reaction wasn't quiet or subtle, it kept growing louder, spreading across headlines. And social platforms fast. What started as criticism quickly turned into something much bigger, with reports saying it even caused a diplomatic situation. That shows how serious the backlash became, and once again, Meghan stayed mostly out of the spotlight during all of this. She didn't step forward publicly, didn't try to control the narrative, and didn't directly address the situation. Instead, Harry was the one left dealing with the pressure, the headlines, and the public reaction on his own. That detail is starting to stand out more each time it happens. Tom Bower described them as relentless and restless, always moving, always active, never slowing down. And this situation fits that description perfectly. From the outside, it looked like a decision driven by the need to stay visible, even when the timing didn't seem right. That constant movement, even during tense moments, is exactly what Bower has been pointing to for a while now.
He said that they've made him feel part of the family, even though they haven't known him for so long. And I think that that's an extremely moving, wonderful thing for a man who had a very difficult upbringing, and that he felt that he could be part of his girlfriend's then family, and he's enjoyed them ever since. That's why they go away together, and that's why they spend a lot of time together.
On the other side of everything going on, there's a very different image taking shape. Prince William has stepped into one of the most important diplomatic moments of his life so far, and people are paying close attention. He is representing King Charles at the funeral of Pope Francis, a major global event filled with world leaders and international attention. Just weeks before, King Charles had visited the Pope, which many saw as a meaningful and well-timed meeting. But with the King currently dealing with ongoing treatment, William is now the one taking that responsibility. And he's stepping into that role calm, prepared, and focused, representing the royal family on a global stage. That steady presence creates a strong contrast to everything else unfolding, and it's something that hasn't gone unnoticed. It's a major moment, no question about it, and by most accounts, Prince William is handling it exactly how people would expect from someone preparing to be king. Calm, steady, and fully in control of the responsibility in front of him. That kind of presence on a global stage doesn't go unnoticed, and when you place that next to Harry's situation, the contrast almost explains itself. It doesn't need much extra detail because it's already clear to anyone watching. Tom Bower's argument has always been that Harry is still holding onto a royal identity, even as that role continues to fade further away from him. Every time William steps forward into moments like this, and he keeps doing it again and again, that gap becomes more visible. What Harry chose to leave behind is becoming clearer with each passing week, and people are starting to see that difference in real time. So this is where everything stands as we head into early 2026. From Bower's perspective, what he claimed before is starting to line up with what people are seeing now, and that's why attention is building fast. And with Revenge 2 on the way, It sounds like even more details are about to drop, and people are watching closely. The pattern that keeps getting talked about hasn't gone anywhere, and the pressure around the marriage still feels very real. If anything, it seems to be building step by step, not slowing down. And now everyone's asking the same thing. What happens next? Make sure to subscribe and drop a comment with your thoughts, because this story is far from over.